Welcome to another Horror Review Sunday. Today we are going over the 1989 Intruder, starring Bruce Campbell. Not really, he's a cameo. They put his name on the cover. I think one of the covers, one of the posters, they really advertised Bruce Campbell like he's in here. And so is Sam Raimi and Ted Raimi. They're in here. They don't have big roles, but they're in here. But Bruce Campbell is not that much in here. He's like 2 seconds towards the end. But yeah, it's got Bruce Campbell, you got Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi, the horror legends themselves. You got Ash and the director of Evil Dead. I mentioned it in my Hereditary review, if you haven't checked that long-ass review out, that I'm doing a little giveaway of sorts where I will give you a review just for you if you can guess what my favorite death of all time is. In that 1-minute intro, there's a compilation of deaths. If you get one guess, and if you guess it right, I will do a review for you. Quick shout out to Derek's Horror Corner. I completely forgot to do this. Shout out to you, buddy. He's been a part of my channel for a very long time, and I hope you keep watching. He usually leaves comments. Hope to see you here in this video. So anyways, let's get into this review. Intruder. This was my first time watch. It's been on my list for a while now to get to, and I finally got a hold of it. It was on Tubi. Yeah, Tubi for free. And man, there wasn't a single trailer. I started it. There was a commercial at the very beginning, but throughout, there was no interruptions at all. Tubi's weird. You'll watch one movie, and there's a commercial, every 15 minutes or 10 minutes. With Intruder, there was 0 commercials. So I'm not sure if it's, depending on the film. Some films get advertisers, some don't. I don't know. So 0 commercials for this. So if you have Tubi, check out Intruder. If you are a horror fan, this is a must-watch. So my positives for this movie is I really like the cast. You got Renee Estevez. Yeah, I think that's her name. Renee, she's from Sleepaway Camp 2. I love seeing her. It's a shame she had to go so quick in this movie. I feel like she should have been the main girl because I recognize her more. It would have been cool if she was the main actress, but she's not the leading role. She's not the final girl. So that was a bit upsetting. But I like seeing her in here. I liked seeing Bruce Campbell, Ted Raimi, Sam Raimi. They were the ones I recognized the most. The gore effects is easily the best positive for this movie. This is a slasher. It's a typical isolated one-setting location, and I like the location that they went with. It's a supermarket, but there's a lot more to it. They really explore the market. You get to see a lot of different areas, like the slaughterhouse section of it, and the beer storage. There's an attic for some reason. I didn't know supermarkets typically had attics. But this is what we go to see these for. It's just the gore, the kills, the high body count, and this has it. The only thing missing from a typical slasher is nudity. But with this setting and where they're at, it would have been stretching to give you nudity. It would have been just a random flash? It wouldn't make sense if they all just started fucking and and you actually got sex and nudity. So that's the only thing missing here. But gore is present, and boy, is it amazing. We get some great ass kills. They're inventive. They're funny. They go with the theme of the movie, the supermarket. There's jokes attached to the deaths. It's very tongue-in-cheek. The movie doesn't take itself that serious. It seems like it at first, but once you get towards the later half of the film and people start dying, it's very comedic. This, just how they die and things being said. I don't want to spoil anything right now, but it's funny. There's like I said, just high body count, you got the gore, and there's some creative camera angles in this movie. I like that because it just kind of makes it stand out. I can remember that about this movie. When I think about it, I'll think about the great kills and the weird camera angles they went with. There's so many different shots of with a POV of a shopping cart, or a shot through a glass, or it's we're seeing the POV of market items, the milk. It's just weird camera angles. So or beneath the ground, and you'll see the main girl sweeping the camera. It's weird. So that was pretty memorable. I thought that was cool. And this movie has a very fun, zany, just awesome third act. It's just funny. It's got the typical the chase, the final girl. She starts seeing the bodies because it's just the body count's so high that it's impossible for her to not bump into anybody. So she's seeing the bodies. They're falling into place Friday the 13th, Linda and Bob, and with Laurie and Halloween, their bodies just fall into place. That's a trope in here, but it's fun. It's all fun. And it's just a fun final act, the final chase, like a Friday the 13th movie. The score is okay, I liked it. And yeah, it's just a wild, zany, fun ride, especially towards the end. So I dug the hell out of this. I had a good time. Any negatives I have is uneven, bad acting. There's some actors in here that are just bad consistently, and there's some that are just like okay, and then there's bad here, bad there. But it's just like some uneven acting. It's not the best acting, but I wouldn't expect any Oscar performances from this movie. It's the low budget, one location B horror movie. There's some poorly shot action sequences, like when there's like a fist fight, the way they went about filming and shooting those sequences, it was weird. There's a character in this movie, and there's only one character that really irritated the piss out of me, and that was the stoner. The way he talked, I doubt that's his real voice. And the characters overall, I didn't give a shit about, so that's basically a trope in horror movies, is you're not really supposed to care. They're just cannon fodder, so that's what we have going on in this movie, is cannon fodder characters who we don't know anything about. They just work at a store, and they're getting killed. So, no really great characters. No one that really stood out besides the killer and the stoner dude, because he was pissing me off. And the killer is very obvious to me. I kind of guessed it, but the way they edited the film together, it kind of like misdirects you a little bit, but not too much, because I still kind of knew who it was. But meanwhile, throughout the whole film, they're giving you this one red herring, and it's so obvious and too just like, really? I mean, they're pointing the finger at one guy the entire time that you're like, I'm not stupid, it's this guy, and it ends up being that guy. So that's a nitpick. I mean, I don't really care. I mean, I wasn't expecting this movie to be that smart, but I felt like it was trying to pull the rug out from under me, and I didn't fall for it one bit. So yeah, and there's like fake props in this movie, and like a meat cleaver hitting someone a bunch of times, and it's like bouncing off of them. It's not like stabbing them. Some weird sound design in here. Things like that. The motivation for the killer wasn't really needed, or it could have been written better. It was just a dumb motivation. And then the last 5 seconds I felt was just weird. Like, it's a fun ending, but that last 5 seconds, they could have did a different ending than that. So yeah. Other than that, final thoughts. I thought this movie was pretty fun, especially the later half. It takes a while for the first kill to happen and for the other kills to get going, but once that first kill happens, it's pretty quick from there on. So I just great gore, great kills, a high body count. It's a fun little slasher movie that every horror fanatic, or especially slasher fans, should check out. So when it comes to Intruder, definitely go out and buy it. The clap award for best scene in this movie goes to the bottle to the head. There's a scene where she hits the bad guy with a bottle. It doesn't break, and you expect it to. Then she drops the bottle right after, and it breaks on impact. It made me laugh out loud. That was awesome. And the hottest chick is the main girl, Jennifer, although Renee Estevez, she was pretty also. There's a couple of cute girls in here. Now time for my spoiler discussion. This movie opens up with like a 3-minute credit sequence. We have to like watch names pop up on screen for like 4 minutes straight. So it's like you gotta like fast forward through it. So that's always annoying. That's like an old movie thing now. They don't do that in movies today. In fact, movies today never typically have credits anymore. They just skip past it. There's not even like a title sequence anymore. It's just like, fuck it, start the movie. We'll save the names for the end. But this one has all the names at the beginning over like a big moon, because Full Moon Pictures made this movie, so it's like a wink. Yeah, full moon, we made it. And it was just annoying. It's like I had to fast forward through it. And then cigarettes cost $1.35. Remember those days? And then we got the cheesy fight scene, and the ex-boyfriend comes in, and he's like all over his ex-girlfriend. He's just very pushy. He's trying to like sexually assault her in front of everybody, and a bunch of guys get in there to save her. And then it's like a cheesy, like, it's cheesy just the way it's shot, the fight sequence. It was just kind of weird. And then he just runs off, and the supermarket's so huge that you can't find him. I don't know how he got away that quick. But then, like, a guy who just assaulted one of your employees is now on the loose, and they just go back to work. It's like, all right, get back to work, start chopping up stuff, and restock the shelves. Like, there's a psycho on the loose. I'm not fucking working. I don't get paid enough, and we're being fired. The market has an attic. I thought that was weird. And then the main girl in this movie, the boyfriend comes back at some point, the ex-boyfriend, and she's on the phone with the police again, trying to call them. And then, like, she turns around, there's the ex-boyfriend, and she doesn't seem to be scared of him anymore. She doesn't fight back. She doesn't scream like she should. And it was just annoying. He just takes the phone away from her, slams it. Cops finally show up, and they're like those Halloween 5 cops. They're just complete morons. They're old. They sent the 2 oldest cops to the store to protect her from a guy that 3 or 4 younger guys could barely hold back. And you're going to send those fucking guys who should be playing bingo at the bingo hall? They're fucking old.
I'm Officer Dalton. This is Officer Matthews.
Yeah, he just comes back. I want my change. And then we find out that they're selling the store. So there's the big motivation. There's the biggest plot point of the movie. The thing that's going to come back into play at the end. So that was just like I knew right from there. I was like, okay, there's the motivation. This guy's talking about how he owns only 49% of the store. This guy owns 51%. I was like, it's that guy. It's the Jeff Foxworthy guy. He just sounded like Jeff Foxworthy to me. So I was like calling him Jeff the whole movie. In my head, I was like, where's Jeff? And then we find out that Craig, the ex-boyfriend, he killed somebody at some point on accident. So, he's the red herring. He could have been the killer. And then he just keeps calling the store. Again, he's the red herring. He's like Billy now. He keeps calling the store. And then we start getting those creative camera angles I was talking about. We get a camera angle from inside the rotary phone, like up at Renee's face. You get a shot from under the floor when she's sweeping. You get a shot from inside the cart, inside a milk crate, behind a bottle, up in the lights, above like the cheeses and butter and whatnot, like just in the mirrors, I guess. Just so many weird angles in this movie, but I liked it. And then she has a nosebleed, and this is set up just so towards the end she can have a nosebleed that kind of gives away her position. I was wondering how that was going to come back into play, but it doesn't do much for the film. Wasn't really needed. This is a store that has a turnstile thing. Like, what do they call those? Is it like a turn? It's kind of like when you go to the amusement park and you're about to get on a ride. There's like that metal bar you have to like push down just to get into the supermarket. I thought that was weird. That's not where I live. Do you guys have that? Not me. This is a nitpick, but there's a POV of the killer. Ooh, we've seen that before. It's like going around the store, but the camera's moving very quickly, and there's footsteps with it that are very slow. So it's like implying that he's walking very slow, but the camera's moving very quickly. So it's like, no, his feet would be walking quicker than that. Then Renee dies, and it's sad to see her go. She's the first one that dies, and she gets the lame kill. I feel like the first kill in a horror movie should always like set the bar, and this one's like, it's gonna be off-camera kills, and it's like, no, it's not. It goes way up the level of gore. But the first kill is an off-camera psycho kill. Like the knife goes up, and it's like a silhouette figure, like the shower scene of Psycho. There's lots of little homages to Psycho, especially in here, just like little subtle kind of like things taken from Psycho that I will point out once I get to them. So yeah, we get that first kill, lame. And then there's the paper needle that you like stack papers on. You like stab it. I don't think those are around anymore. It's a dangerous ass fucking thing to have in your office. I seriously wonder how many bosses have been murdered like that. I wouldn't be surprised. But this guy, he has the needle for papers, and he just gets it through the eye, Fulci style, just like shoved right through the fucking eye. You know I like that scene, but there's blood already on the table before we see like the impact. So that was kind of like a weird edit. And then all the blood's like falling on the light bulb, and there's like a shot of the ceiling and the light bulb on the ground with the blood on it. It's like making like a red silhouette on the ceiling. I like that. It's just creative. If you're not going to go too gory, at least be creative. And that's gory and creative. So double whammy. Love it. And then they're making out on the clock. You got the guy and the girl who's being stalked by the ex-boyfriend. They're like making out on the clock. For some reason, that kind of like irritated me when I was watching. It's like, you should be working. But yeah, they don't give a shit. They're about to be fired. This is their last month working. And then there's like an eyeball in the olive jar. And then this guy, he's like slicing like a watermelon or something. And he keeps like bringing the knife back and bringing it down, knife back. And the camera keeps going back and forth. And every time the knife goes back up, there's like no fruits on it. There's no markings whatsoever. Kind of like the burning when the shears keep going up. There's like no blood on it. But then he gets that knife right through the fucking back of the head, and like his headphones like split off. I thought that was cool. Creative. That was pretty cool. And then the other guy, he gets stabbed in the gut with like a knife, and it goes, it's a butcher knife. Keep in mind, and this is like Halloween with Bob. It's a butcher knife about that long, goes all the way through his stomach, and then into the beer cans behind him, and all the beer's like spraying behind him, and he, like all kinds of blood's like spraying out of his gut. Like over the top amount of blood. That must have been Sam Raimi on set that day. Like, we should have more blood here because he did Evil Dead and he's known for being all splatter. Like, it just didn't make sense because it's like Bob, where he gets like stabbed with just a small butcher knife like that, and it goes all the way through him and all the way through the wall to hold him up against the wall. It's like, that's not how that would work. It's a lame gut stab, but like I said, if you're gonna have a lame kill, do something creative around it. Like, make a joke out of it. Do something. Extra blood. Pfft, sweet. You know, that's what we want as horror fans, and they give it to you. Then the head gets squashed. This is the stoner dude. I wanted him to die. This was like the moment in the movie where I was like cheering. I was like, yes, kill the stoner. He's pissing me off. He just gets his head slowly squashed by like a trash compactor or something. They have like a dumbwaiter thing. I don't know what it's for. But just, I love that it like crushes like only like the top half of his head. They could have just squashed the whole head, but they went extra creative and it just crushed the top half of his head, and I thought that was awesome. And you see it. You see everything. Just slowly crushing that fucking head. Does it look fake? A little, yeah. It's the 80s, but I love it. Greg Nicotero did the effects for this. And then there's like severed feet underneath a bathroom stall. That was pretty funny. It looks like there's someone like taking a shit, but you look under, it's just severed feet. And then Sam Raimi, he gets like a hook underneath the jaw. Kind of lame, but I like that the final girl, towards the end, she takes his body and uses it like a blockade, like to block the door and hold it shut. Oh yeah, then when that guy sees the severed feet, he thinks it's like pig's feet somehow. Like it's just a joke. Really? And then the boss with the needle through the eye, he's still alive somehow. He's like in the attic of the fucking market, still screaming. It's like, we clearly saw that needle go all the way through the eye in the head. Like, it would have went through his brain. He'd be dead. How is he still alive screaming? That made no sense. And then the meat slicer to the head. This is the best kill in the whole movie. The boyfriend of the final girl, he gets taken to the back. The killer comes in on like a hook, like just comes flying in, kicks him, drags him to the other room. There's like a meat slicer thing, like a table saw, and just slices all the way through his head, and we actually get to freaking see it. It goes like all the way to like underneath his nostrils. And at first there's like no blood in the cuts. It was like, it just looks like it's cutting rubber, so it was kind of like, they could like added blood there at first, but then they cut away and they cut back, and then there's blood and it's like spraying out. It cuts his head all the way off, and then later on you see his head severed in like the fridge, and his head's put back together but like twisted a little bit. Awesome. Awesome stuff. And then the bodies, they get found by the final girl. She uses Sam Raimi's body to block the door. She has like a meat hook. She stabs the killer in the hand, and then the Jeff Foxworthy guy, he comes around acting like he was a victim. He was knocked out the whole time, but you see like a blood mark on his hand, so it's like a clear sign that he's the killer, and I kind of knew that already. But yeah, and then you see all these body parts everywhere. It's like body parts from the headphones guy. He's like in pieces on the conveyor belt. You get this other guy who's like chopped in half, and he has like a half mark, like 50% off sign on him. That's pretty funny. And then the guy who got crushed, there's like a sticker tag on him that says like, this is a non-crush proof box or something, like it's crush proof. And so just like all the little humor and witty just like jokes that are attached to the deaths just adds more fun to the movie. And then she stabs her ex-boyfriend in the neck thinking he's the killer, and then he's like passed out for a while. Conveniently enough time for other stuff to happen, for us to see Jeff Foxworthy pop up, and he gives his little exposition about why he's doing it, and we kind of already knew. He's like, I'm not going to let him sell the store, so I had to kill him, and then I just got a little bit carried away.
I'm just crazy about this store.
And then I had to think back, and I'm like, well, wait a second. If the boss was your target, and he's your motivation, why did you kill Renee first, and then get carried away to kill the boss who's selling the store you love? That made no sense. So it's like, he should have killed the boss first, and then Renee, and then that explanation at the end would make more sense, but it doesn't, because he killed Renee first. Why would you go after her? She was about to leave, and you haven't even killed the boss yet. Who's your motivation? He's the one selling the store, not Renee. Why did Renee have to die? But yeah, then she hits him with the bottle, and you think it's gonna like smash over his head. because it's like a green glass wine bottle. She goes bam, and it's like bunk, and then she drops it after hitting him, and it just shatters. I cracked up. I couldn't. That was just too good. And then like the killer's chasing her through the aisles, and then when he sees things on the floor, he picks them up and restocks the shelves as he's chasing her. Just more humor. I love that. I just love that little subtle stuff. It makes the killer more interesting. And he is interesting. He's over the top with the acting, so it just makes it more fun. And then there's a delivery guy who pops up to deliver produce in the middle of the night, and then somehow Jet Foxworthy, he got outside very quick, and he stabs him in the back, waves the keys, like, I got out, ha ha ha. Then he goes back inside, and then she, like, stabs him with a knife. Oh, yeah, like, she goes outside, and then... Oh, wait, no, I can't skip this part. He's, like, playing dead, as if he's the boss. He's holding the boss's head, and he's like, help me, and then she goes up, and he's like doing like a ventriloquist act with the severed boss's head. The ex-boyfriend pops up, and he starts beating the ex-boyfriend to death, almost. Like, he doesn't die, but he's like beating him to death with a severed head, and that's when I fell in love with the movie. I was like, this is fucking awesome. A guy is getting his ass kicked with a severed head. That was just hilarious, brutal, different. I loved it. But then she goes outside and she drives like a Mrs. Voorhees Jeep, and she opens the car door, even though it's locked, but when she gets it open, body falls out. It's Renee. She got stabbed in the chest. So it was like, hey, it's like Annie in Friday the 13th, because, you know. I don't have to explain it. You should know. If you don't, that's a shame. And then... yeah, she like gets the knife from not Annie, almost Annie, Renee's body, and then she stabs Jet Foxworthy, and then he's like, "Where'd you get the knife?" Like, I love his line delivery, just the way he says things. Like, "Where'd you get the knife?" And then she goes to the phone booth, because this is the 80s and phone booths exist. And then he starts attacking her through the phone booth. It's like Psycho 3. And then she like stabs him through the hand. So now it's like Psycho 2. And oh, no, wait, no. She goes to stab and he grabs the knife. And it's like Psycho 2. And then he gets stabbed through the hand all the way down, like Friday the 13th Part 4, when Jason gets the machete through the hand. So there's like all these little things. I'm like, oh, that's like that movie. That's like that movie. Little references to everything. But yeah, he attacks the phone booth, and then the ex-boyfriend comes to save the day, whacks him a bunch with a meat cleaver that's obviously fake. And then the cops show up. Here's Bruce Campbell. He's dead, and now how are they going to explain shit? But then he wakes up for one moment just to say, they did it, they killed everybody, and then he passes out dead. So now they're pinned with all the murders. Grim, dark ending. But then all of a sudden, he opens his eyes for like a second, and then the last 5 seconds of this movie is like her screaming like, no, and then the camera zooms into her mouth, and then it's like, credits. That was just kind of dumb. It's like, what do you mean no? Oh, he's still alive? Well, then beat the truth out of him and get him to admit to what he did. Why weren't there security cameras? When did security cameras become a thing? If there were security cameras at that place, they'd be in the clear. And DNA is a thing, alright? So they would clearly find all his DNA around every single body, because he wasn't wearing gloves at all. So I like to think that they didn't get arrested, because it kind of like leaves it open. Like, did they get pinned with all those murders, or what? I don't think they did, because there's DNA testing. They could find out that he's clearly fucking insane. It's 2 people's words against a dead guy. I don't think that they got arrested. What do you think? Do you think they got arrested? Let me look at my notes real quick, see if I missed anything. Oh yeah, she has like a weird final line. There's like that final line that final girls have when they like stab or get rid of the killer, that, like Jaws, like, smile, you son of a bitch. And this one, she goes, suck on this, and that's when she stabs him. It's like, suck on this. That's a weird final line. That doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, I like that Bruce, he goes into the store and comes out 10 seconds later. It's like, it's a fucking massacre in there, man. There's bodies everywhere. It's like, how did you search that entire market like that and find every single body? There's no way. They were scattered everywhere. So maybe he just like saw one body and was like, there's a massacre in there. I don't know. That was just odd to me. I was like, it took you 10 seconds only to find everything in there, and now you're just going to pin it on them? So yeah, boom. That's it. That's the end of the movie. Awesome, bloody, awesome, fucking gruesome movie. This was just a fun ride. Beating people with a freaking severed head. This is a fun slasher movie. whodunit. It wasn't that good of a whodunit, but it's still a fun movie, so definitely check it out. It's worth your time. It's free on Tubi if you want to check it out. But those are my thoughts. What did you think about Intruder? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Hit this like button and share with all your friends, and become a subscriber today if you haven't done so already, just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.